Hello, I'm SIMS, and this video is a little bit different for me, but I was inspired by the last Paralives update that we got last week. If you haven't seen it yet, it's a video called Sebastian's Summer, and I will link it down below, but basically it introduced a few new features that we can expect in Paralives, including ziplining, and most excitingly of all, your character will take off their shoes when they enter their house. Now, when you get super excited over that, that's when you know that you are a life simulation fan. But anyway, these features are just a few in a long line of confirmed things that we are going to be getting in Paralives. I mean, hello, height sliders, split level, nicknames. The Sims 4 could never. But could it? Because, you know, these features that Paralives are including are almost like revolutionary. Like, they're so unique. Like, a character taking off their shoes. We have never seen that before. And yet it's still kind of reminiscent of little gameplay features that we loved in The Sims 2 and 3. Like, remember when, you know, your kids were at home and the parents would come back from work and they were so excited to see them, you know, that they'd run up the driveway and give them a big hug. Things like that. And, you know, we don't have those things in The Sims 4. And I think it's largely because the team seemed to have focused on just bringing us new technology for the game, which, you know, I'll go into, but in some ways has been good and in some ways has been bad. But basically, I know that the community is dying for some better gameplay, just something that adds a little bit more depth and a little bit more personality to our characters. And it seems like Paralives is listening and it's delivering, and, you know, The Sims 4 is not. But could it? Should it? Would it? Now, I want to preface this by saying that I know absolutely nothing about game development, so I'm not here to say what The Sims can and cannot add in terms of, you know, their capabilities to actually do it. But I mean, I'm specifically talking about the little gameplay features that really gave Sims personality in The Sims 2 and 3. So this has all been done before. It's not anything particularly new and, you know, never done before. Bunk beds, spiral staircases, cars, we've had them before. So surely, you know, the Sims team can do it. And it, you know, the Paralives team with what, like 5 or 6 people in it, a game that is still in early development, is introducing zip lining and shoes you can take off. You know, so clearly the technology is there. It's just a case that the Sims team doesn't really want to prioritize that. As I said, they seem to be focusing a lot on technology. You know, think about the update that we're getting next week. The skin tone sliders. They're adding a bunch of new swatches, and then with each swatch there's going to be a slider, so you can make it lighter or darker, and then with the makeup there's a transparency slider. But that is exactly what we had in The Sims 3, which came out 11 years ago, and we're now 6 years into The Sims 4 and we're only just getting it now. So this is what I mean when I say that there doesn't seem to be much urgency for them to say, oh, you know, you really liked these features of past generations, well, we're going to include them in The Sims 4. They're just simply not doing that, you know, and there's going to be a new expansion pack coming out, and they wrote that open letter and they said, hey, you know, we want to be honest and transparent with you guys, which I love and I have wanted them to do for ages. But it's a case of, hey, we want to be transparent, you know, all those things that everybody wants. Yeah, we're not going to include them. Just putting it out there just to manage expectations, and you know, that's fine, and I really applaud them for doing that. But I do wish that they'd have said, you know, it's not going to be in this pack, however, we do hear you, and we do, you know, we are going to put them in, we are going to work on it. But they haven't even done that, which is really, really disappointing. And it feels like, they've done it before, but clearly, there's other things that they want to work on. I get it. EA is a big company and it wants to make a ton of money. And these little gameplay features that I'm talking about that we had in The Sims 2 and The Sims 3 and Paralives, they would have to come in a free base game update. So of course it makes sense that a business would want to prioritize new DLC that people would pay money for. And I mean, you could make the argument that some people might actually be encouraged to buy The Sims 4 if they improve the gameplay that we have currently. But I mean, as I said, we're 6 years in, so probably anybody that actually does want to buy The Sims 4 has done so already. So it makes sense that it's too late in The Sims lifespan to do sort of these complete overhauls of base game gameplay. And I mean, in terms of skin tone sliders, just going back to that example, I do think we would have gotten them eventually, because it's a big topic that people have been talking about for literal years. But I wonder when we would have got it if we hadn't have had the Black Lives Matter movement. And again, it just goes back to the fact that it's just not a priority for the Sims team to listen to what the community feels would improve the Sims 4 base game. But we are at a time where, the Sims community is really dissatisfied with The Sims 4. Lots of people are complaining. I mean, I've seen so many people say that they're not even excited to find out what the new expansion pack is. And speaking of which, I want to talk about Star Wars for a second, because I think that pack was the starting point of something, because until now I know a lot of people have bought Sims 4 packs when they have come out purely because they're the Sims 4 packs and they want a complete collection. But I've seen quite a few people say that they have a complete collection apart from the Star Wars pack. And this is not hating the Star Wars pack. If you love that pack, then fair play to you. But what I'm trying to say is that for the first time, for some people, they were saying, okay, I know this is a pack released by The Sims 4, but I don't want it, so I'm not going to get it. And, I'm not saying that everybody just buys packs blindly because it's The Sims, but I know some people do. Some people do just want a full collection. And, for example, if you're a builder, you might want the build items or whatever. But it makes me think that this could be the start of people saying, if I don't like the features that are in the pack, and if I'm wanting something for The Sims 4 and it's not in there, I'm not going to buy it. And I think that could be the starting point for EA to realise, these people want these changes to the base game. They want these items added. They want these sort of activities added. And they might actually start to listen. I mean, think how many people are calling at the moment for a Generations pack, and clearly we're not going to be getting that in the next expansion pack because they said that there is no change to gameplay for babies. So I wonder if we're going to have the same kind of reaction to the next pack as the Star Wars pack, because I do think, as I said, it's kind of the start of people saying, do you know what, I don't like what's in this pack, so I'm not going to buy it. And I think, to be honest, that's kind of what The Sims needs. It's been the #1 simulation game for 20 years, and now competition is kind of popping up all over the place. I think, how the Sims team respond to the community's requests and complaints, I think we may start to see that change. On the question of whether The Sims actually would overhaul gameplay in the base game, honestly, I do not think so. As I said, 6 years into The Sims 4, it's probably a bit too late to hope for that. And I know a lot of people are hoping that, therefore, we're going to be getting it in a Sims 5. But that's a kind of dangerous proposition, because that's assuming that The Sims 5 will be a step up from The Sims 4, which is a fair assumption to make. But in a lot of ways, The Sims 4 was actually a step down from The Sims 2 and The Sims 3. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love The Sims 4, but it's crazy to think that The Sims 3 was marketed for the fact that it had open world and full customization. I mean, creator style. Like, I was 13 when The Sims 3 came out, and I would match my Sims walls to their furniture, to their outfits, and it would all be yellow and pink, and it was amazing. And it was really, really ugly, but I loved it because it never been done before. It was something so unique to the Sims franchise. And then, you know, they announced that there's going to be a Sims 4, and everyone's like, oh, you know, what are they going to improve upon in the Sims 4? But actually, everything that they marketed about the Sims 3 was then taken away, again, to introduce these new sort of technologies and advancements. And in some ways that's been really good. I mean, you can't deny that Creator Sim and Build Buy in The Sims 4 is the best it has ever been. But it's also in some ways been bad. I mean, failed emotion system, you know, so you can't rely on The Sims 4 to deliver the improvements that we want to The Sims 4. And at the end of the day, people are questioning, does The Sims actually even care about older games? I mean, The Sims social media never really mentions the older games. You know, there's been no kind of attempt to, that we know of at least, to remaster The Sims 2 or 3. And I mean, speaking of EA wanting money, that's the way to do it, is remastering those old games. And, you know, 20 years of The Sims, 20 years, including 4 generations. You know, that's a huge milestone. It was such a big thing, and a lot of people, like myself, were expecting and hoping for a nostalgia pack, but instead we got a hot tub. So basically, Paralives is shaping up to be a really amazing game. I do want to stress it is in early development, so anything could happen, I know that, but I think that just reinforces the point more. It's in early development, and it's introducing things like ziplining. Like, what? You know, it's really focusing on adding character depth and personality that we have never seen before, or at least not for a very, very long time. And I think there's a lot to be said for the fact that it is a small company, so it's probably easier for them to listen to the wants and the needs of the community. But I mean, the Sims community is very, very vocal, so I know that the Sims team does listen, it does respond, but it just seems that it doesn't take on board our feedback and our requests for The Sims 4, at least not with any sense of urgency. And I mean, of course, they don't have to put in every single thing that everybody wants, but a lot of people really think that the Sims 4 base game would really benefit from a better focus on, you know, those gameplay aspects that just make it feel so much more immersive. It makes you feel like, you know, your Sims are people. They you know, characters with their own personalities, their own likes and dislikes, and it's just not the same for the Sims 4. But it looks like it's kind of shaping up that way for Paralives, and I think The Sims 4 could introduce that, and it should introduce that, but it won't introduce that. And the impact that that has on the Sims franchise, time will tell. But if you like this video, please give it a like. If you agree, if you disagree, if you have anything else to add, then please put it in the comments down below. Subscribe if you liked this video. It's a bit different, but it's a lot quicker to make than speed build. So if you liked it, I would very much appreciate you telling me so I could do some more. But until the next one, bye.